What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Nate Garcia from Faithful Hound Consulting, and thank you for tuning in to the Pack Podcast. I'm here with Mr. Amir, and we're going to learn more about the business, why he is so passionate about it, and what got him to where it is. Would you like to tell us about, yourself and the business before we begin?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. First of all, thank you so much for having me on here. It's always exciting to tell your story, especially for entrepreneurs. It's never a straight line from A to Z to build your business. So
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
a lot of nuggets that you can pass on to others to help those that are looking to make their way through as well. So I appreciate the time and I appreciate people like yourself that do these interviews because they certainly help inspire people, right? And
Oh,
that's what you
thank
want.
you,
You,
man.
you want an inspired society, right? So
Yeah,
I am a broker in construction. And so, what does that mean? I have a whole portfolio of clients that range from developers to architects, engineers, all commercial construction. They'll come to me and I'll source the right trade for the right job, and I take a commission for it. So, in short, just a really fancy way of saying I'm a sales guy, right? But I look at my business as the most important part of it is building and cultivating relationships, and that's what it is. The world around us today is not what you know, it's who you know. So
exactly.
I've built my career on building a wide range network, and so here it's come to fruition now. I capitalize on my network. I basically connect people together, and then during the journey of project start to finish, I'm there all the way through, working with both sides to make sure that we land on the same spot, the
Right,
intended
like a
spot, right?
liaison.
Yeah, absolutely. With everyone, committing to an end result that serves everybody, right? Not
Right.
just one side or the other. So, yeah, I've been doing this now on my own, going on. This is going to be now my fourth year.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's been exciting. I mean, listen, it's been a difficult 4 years considering the climate that's happened around us.
Right.
I launched my business the first year of lockdown, so you can imagine the
Ooh.
difficulties in navigating around it. But I did. But it was, just I worked for many companies and eventually got to a point where I decided I'm ready to go on my own. And this was the path I chose, which is not your typical path in construction. In construction, you have a niche that you service and you go out and sell your company to provide uh, the ability to service that niche for a client. So whether you're installing windows, you're doing masonry, you're doing concrete, roofing, whatever niche you've decided to pick in construction, that's usually what you typically sell.
Mhm.
What I've done is carved out, an unbeaten path. So rather than building a company around labor and going out and tackling projects, I just basically built a business that allows me to go do what I love most about the industry, and that is just client management, building relationships, and then aligning the right guy for the right project.
Awesome. I really like the personal approach you take because that's really sounding like your unique selling point. And I've worked in the similar construction industry when I was at a power plant position. So I'm very familiar with just like calls coming in and people asking, "Hey, we're looking for such and such from a sales role and we're operations." So you have the wrong number, but it definitely makes a difference when people recognize, "Oh, I know Tim from accounting and he's very personal." And sets people apart, especially in the more blue collar industry where we're just in the elements doing what we got to do and people don't recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone once taught me, we live in a very saturated world,
Mhm.
right? So in every direction, there's 100 of the same products and services. And so in my space and what I do, the one thing that is not saturated is me, Amir, the individual. So I built this business not so much on just the service. I built it based on me, building and cultivating the relationship so that whatever I brought with me, people would be interested in taking on. Okay. Do they want to deal with me? If the answer is yes, then they'll deal with what I bring to the table. So that's what I built this whole business on. Just me connecting with individuals. That's it. Not going in and selling what I have, I brought me. I built the relationship to a point where people want to spend time with me, hang out. This business is a lot of whining and dining. That's what you do. So you're
Yeah.
always out to lunches and dinners and coffees. And I found many different creative ways to spend time with people. And, I've got clients I go on hikes with. I've got clients I go to gun ranges with. I've got, just finding cool ways to spend time with people where you're not talking about work. When we go out to these lunches and dinners, we don't share too much time or spend too much time on what projects do you have? What do you got coming? What can you feed me? No, I want to know about your life. I
Yeah.
want to know what's family life like. What are your kids like? What are your fears? What do you love about life? Things like that. So we talk shop life and everything in between. So you really build the connection to the people that you want to do business with. And construction is very complicated. It's very stressful. Yeah, and there's no straight line from A to Z.
Oh
Okay.
no.
Anyone that tells you I'm gonna run a smooth project, you're gonna have no headaches, no hiccups, and we're gonna kick butt is lying to you. Okay. So here's what I bring you. I can't promise you perfection. I can't listen, there's a lot of layers to getting a project finished. So at some point, somewhere, someone's going to make a mistake. There's going to be a hiccup. There's going to be
Yeah.
something that was misinterpreted or whatever the case is. But the fact that you've built a relationship with the individual on trust, authenticity, you care, whatever comes up along the process of a complicated executed project, you're able to work it out. All right. So, very rarely have I come across a situation that exploded out of control where you couldn't get the train back on the tracks. Right. So, that's my approach. That's how I do it. It's just make sure you connect with people. The rest, you can figure it out.
Right. I really like you also instilled just that honesty to be transparent, where not everybody understands the struggles of if you have your wall, you tear it down, you don't know what's going on, you don't know if the electrical is good, all that. So it's a
That's right.
journey, and clients understand that. Now I got to ask, what were you doing before you just started this entrepreneurial journey?
So, various different roles and positions in construction. So, everything from project management to sales.
Okay.
I eventually made my way into a general manager role of an award-winning restoration company that did all like uh, commercial exterior facade restoration. So,
Right.
taking the exterior of a building that needed new life in it, that needed to be fixed, and bringing it back to a good, clean exterior look. And in the GM role, I helped grow the company, substantially.
Right.
Made my way into becoming vice president. Okay. Now, I'll be someone that tells you titles mean absolutely nothing to me. Um, you know, Within the company, I always made sure that I had an open door policy, and my title only mattered when I was trying to open doors outside the
Right.
company. People take you more seriously because you're a decision maker. Inside the company, all I ever said to people was, "I'm just a resource. Come to me when you need me." That's it. So I was doing that, and worked for this company for about 8 years. Daughter was born, and when you're at a level like that, a VP level, you're working long hours. Okay,
I
so
can imagine.
during the day is a lot of putting out fires, managing people, and we'll call it what it is, adult babysitting in many cases. Okay, and a lot of personalities in this line of work. Okay, from the guys out on the job sites to the staff in the office. So it's you're dealing with interesting people. Let's just put it that way.
No, I
And then at
completely understand.
Yeah, and in the evenings, there's a lot of prospecting. You got to go find business. You go work the relationships that you have. So you're out to dinner, you're out to hockey games and basketball games and all different types of networking events. And then what are your weekends? Your weekends are catching up on paperwork and emails you might have missed. And so, when you have a little one that comes into the world, this type of schedule doesn't work. You know,
No,
it's not.
you're spot on. We were just talking about that before we started of just both our daughters, and it's just that moment. And I mean, I think if I may ask, is that where that initial idea to start your own business just to have more time with the family came from?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I had worked myself a few times into burnout. I'd been into hospital a couple of times from overwhelm, stress, working on these were 15-hour days. So it's putting in. So going to bed, midnight, 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning, getting up at 6 to be with my kid because I never sacrificed the time with her. So no matter what time I got in, it was wake her up, get her dressed, hang with her in the morning, and then off into my day. Eventually, we had her in I don't know if you're familiar with what a Montessori school is, but
No.
Montessori school, it's not a daycare. It's got structure to it.
Okay.
Okay, so they're actually teaching these children how to be independent. So at
Good.
one, when Kaya started there, they start at that early age, building children into a state of independence. All right, and they do it, the philosophy behind the school is keeping them around older kids. Okay, that's the philosophy around Montessori. So when Kai was a year old, she was with kids, a few months older. So as children see, they do. So when you're seeing children a little bit older, they start to adopt these things. So
Okay.
perfect example, Kaya wouldn't walk. She would walk on her knees. And we kept trying to get her to do the walk, but she
Right.
loved walking on her knees. Within a few days of being at the school, all the other kids around her were walking. So within a few days, she was up on her feet walking around. So this is kind of what Montessori
Interesting.
brings in. Yeah,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful program. So I would drop her off every morning by 9 a.m. and then I'd go into my day. So I found it was probably, yeah, it was, I was in the hospital again and it was pretty serious this time. My appendix had ruptured and an issue with my pancreas. So basically I lost a liter of blood and on and on and on. And so I sat there looking at my daughter on the hospital bed and I thought to myself, nope, this doesn't work anymore. I've got to change. I've got to be here for this kid. This isn't working. So I did. That was it. That's where I decided I'm going to go to work for myself. I'm going to remove a bunch of layers of the industry that I don't like doing anymore.
Yeah.
Which was managing labor and project management and things of that nature. So I decided I'm going to go touch base with some clients that were mine that have followed me everywhere I went and basically run the idea by them and see how they feel about it.
Right.
Sure enough, everyone said the same thing. I don't care as long as it's you that I'm dealing with. So that was it. That was the spark that got me going. So, to answer your question, yes, it was my daughter. That was the spark to get dad to say, okay, there's got to be another way. There has to be.
That's
I don't,
amazing.
yeah, I don't want this kid being sacrificed for dad's ambition and drive.
No, I really appreciate that you took, just the health awareness because so many people just ignore it. I'm going to push through. This is just part of the process of being an entrepreneur. This is just one setback instead of, I don't have to live like this. It doesn't have to be business as usual. Your business as usual can be whatever you dictate. So, so grateful that you are a living example of that because others need to remind themselves of that. Now, I definitely have to ask then, as a dadpreneur that you are, were there any initial reservations or fears that you may have had? Even just, I have my little one at home, I'm at a VP position, you're just used to that. Or were you just like, I've been in the industry enough to say I am comfortable taking that first step?
Well, I've always been a bit of a cowboy, okay, personality when it comes to chasing life.
Right.
I've pretty much my entire life not walked the beaten path. Okay, I didn't get a formal education, didn't go to university here, didn't follow that protocol of high school, university, job, settle down, get married. You know that whole conveyor belt of life.
Yeah, what you have to do.
What you have to do is the right thing to do. So I've chased a lot of, I ran with the bulls. I skydived, bungee jumps.
Oh, I
I've
love
spent
it.
my 20s living in different countries, different cities, and worked more on me, developed me as a man, wanted to understand myself more as a man. And, so I was comfortable taking risks. It was something I was already used to. Now,
Perfect.
where were things different? When you have a little one, it's, as you know, you're no longer responsible for yourself. Now you're responsible for others. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is where the heat and the heavy come in, right? I'm happy to jump both feet into any risk. But at this point now, it's like, okay, you got to evaluate this. I'm leaving a guaranteed paycheck, an established company that's been around now 30 years, and
Mhm.
to go do something that is unproven, that I don't know anybody in the industry that does what I do. And so who do I lean on to ask for advice? Who do you go to? You know,
Right.
how do you measure whether this is going to be successful or not? Because I don't know anyone around me that was doing it. So, there were some reservations, some hesitation. There was some nerves for sure. What's this going to look like? What if it doesn't work? How am I going to keep my kid in her school?
Yeah.
How am I going to keep the lights on, food on the table, all of these things? But it ultimately landed on one thing. No matter what I've ever been through in my life, I always landed on my feet, no matter how difficult the circumstances were. I did. I landed on my feet. And I'm a believer that if there's something in my heart or in my intuition, not to get overly spiritual here, but I believe God put it in me for a reason. Doesn't
Right.
mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean it's a path paved with gold. It just means there's something there I need to explore. So that's what I did. Jumped in and off I went.
Oh no, I appreciate you just breaking down the shift because many again just assume it's yeah, you just show up. We're so as of right now, what's trending, this obsession with quick success, overnight success, those vanity metrics, and it doesn't mean anything when you're going, okay, I have to really calculate what's the risk. It's not just me. I'm fine skipping a meal.
Oh
I don't
yeah.
want my daughter to ever deal with that. And then you're really
Yeah.
processing everything. It puts things into perspective, that's for sure.
Yeah. I listen, I could go without. I'm okay. You know, uh, but to think that I could be responsible for my little one going without, or, at the
Yeah,
time, my wife going without because of a decision I made, was, daunting, scary, but I just changed the focus. It's like, you can't worry about this. People say, what if it doesn't work? What if it fails? What, okay, there's the other side of the coin. What if it succeeds? What if it's above and beyond anything you ever thought it was going to be for yourself? There's those what ifs as well. So, sat down with the missus and I said, how do you feel? Like, are you comfortable with this? And, she did say, well, look, if this is something you feel you got to explore, go do it. Go do it.
right.
But what's been going on to this point needs to change because you're
Mhm.
overworked, you're burned out, you're stressed, and all these joyful things that come with,
Being an entrepreneur, like
being
a
a yeah,
driven one.
yeah, a driven one. Absolutely. Always been very, very driven. So I knew there was another way. There was a better way to do this.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you also have that structure because whether you have to build it yourself or you are able to just, I have it at my disposal, people don't understand that it's not just you yourself, even though the business is built on your unique personality, your approach, how you just build that connection with people. It also is, the lights go off, you're at home. How are you handling stress? Who's there to motivate you? So I'm
Yeah.
really happy for you that you've been able to have that ride through the ups and downs. Because if I'm not mistaken, with it being 2023 and starting in 2019, you dealt with everything with the pandemic regulations and stuff with a new business. So you're already, defying the odds that people are like, oh, this isn't going to work right now. Now's not the time. And screw that, for better words.
Yeah, well, I mean, my God, I launched the business and within a few months, the first lockdown hit
Right.
and everything just came to a dead stop. And you're just thinking, oh my God, what have I done? But you have one of two choices. You can keep festering in the problem and sink further into despair, or
Mhm.
do what I did. I just kept pounding the phones and trying to find daylight somewhere. All right, trying to find a solution somewhere, and that was it. I made up my mind. I was all in, and I'm going to figure this out no matter what it takes. And I did. I worked the phones all day, every day, while we were locked in trying to figure out where I could find work, how I could get some guys going,
Of
and
course.
eventually found a path.
Perfect. I believe the term is, what is it? Fiduciary, where you want the best for somebody else. And I really get that mentality where it's your actions or those that are working with you, not for you. So that's very
Yes.
refreshing to hear. I'd gotta also ask, at the core of your business, what is like the number one problem you aim to solve when you are working with clients?
Oh, there's oh geez, well with construction is, everything's about timelines and budgets,
Okay.
right? And so that is at the crux of it, always working to ensure that you're within the target, right? Like nothing ever works out the way you plan it in this business. Okay. So um, there's always unforeseen things that happen along projects. So the the thing you're always trying to heavily get everyone to buy into is trying to keep your eye on if you service the client, you take care of the client's needs, it's going to keep you working after. So don't get short-sighted. Don't step over $1 to get to a quarter.
Mhm.
In this business, that is key because you know we we call it extras on a job. So you price out a job, you go, you start working, and then these unforeseen things pop up.
Of course.
And this is where I find is true transparency in the relationship in a project is if the contractor starts to gouge you on this extras because they think, guess what, I've got you over a barrel now. I'm there, I'm mobilized, I'm working. If you say no to my extras, what are you going to do? You're going to kick me off the site, and then you've got to go through this whole process of getting somebody else into the project with costs a fortune for someone else to pick up where someone else left off.
Yeah.
So the key in these relationships is making sure that you understand, do not step over $1 to get to a quarter. Do not use this opportunity to gouge and corner the client. Don't do it. Buy into how can I help you? How can we make this less painful for you? So that on the other end, the client looks at this and goes, you know what, man, these guys are real. They're the real deal. So the next project coming up, guess who's at the top of the list? So this is, timelines and budgets, timelines and budgets. That's always at the crux of every project that you're working on, and making sure that everyone buys into complete transparency and to complete things in a timely manner and as close to on budget as possible.
Awesome. And I think that's something anyone in any industry can really take away from just understanding the budget aspect, because so many people can start a business, have that passion, but just that financial literacy comes into place so much. And even with things like, oh, what's my exit strategy? I'd like to believe that, the main goal of any business for just the driven entrepreneurs is how quickly can you fire yourself so that you can work on other things or spend time with your family and whatever that means for whomever. If I'm going to do this, I'm not retiring, but I'm on the board, so I'm doing less of the field work. Cool, that's your exit strategy. Or
Yeah,
I want to sell this business, purchase another one, and just rinse repeat. But if we don't understand where our finances are, how can we reach those goals?
that's right. Yeah, it's you know, just as important as finding the business is obviously managing your business.
Right.
It's very important the details in, the dollars that come in and how you manage your dollars. And look, I've made mistakes in that area. We all do. And, you're learning. Like I said, this is a new form of business. So I haven't really had too many people to go lean on and talk to, but had to figure this all out. I've had to figure it out along the way. And sure, I've made a few mistakes that have cost me some bucks, but
You're a
overall,
pioneer. Bon Jovi.
yeah, pretty much, pretty much. But no, listen. I love it. I love the learning process. I mistakes are, they're we all make them. Anyone that says they don't is again, not being honest.
Right.
You learn from them, and I don't believe in failures. I believe in lessons. Failures,
Absolutely.
a failure to me is you quit. That's it. Something didn't work. You're done, and you just go back to whatever it is and live with regret. That to me that's failure. Um, but to continue learning and moving on and learn from the mistake and the hiccups and all that and build and get stronger and stronger and stronger. I mean, yeah, you need them. You need the failures, you need the hiccups, you need the hurdles.
No, that's how we test our concept to make sure it's valid. And that leads right into my next question. When your first year you were going, how did you validate the idea? I know you ran it by various, clients and people in the industry so that you were able to just, does this sound crazy? Am I sounding crazy? But in that first year, and that was a big first year at that, where did it really say, you know what, I just proved to myself that this is going to work?
So it's one thing to get people to say, sure, I'll give you a shot. It's another to prove
Right.
that you can do it, execute in order to get another shot. So the validation for me came at the end of completing the first round of projects and having the same clients come back and say, okay, here's another one. So
Perfect.
that's where the validation was shown to me that, okay, we can do this. This can work as long as we continue working the relationship, stay true, stay transparent. Relationships are a two-way street. Okay. It's not a relationship if I just keep coming to you and asking for things.
Right.
Okay. So, relationship to me was okay, they're helping me, they're bringing the opportunities to me. What can I do in return? So, I helped. So, for example, engineers who would get me to bid on projects, bring me to the opportunities, I would then find opportunities for the engineer. I'd go to some of my clients and say, hey, I know you need engineering services. Why don't you try this guy? He's pretty good. I've been working with him. So there you go. There's the relationship. All right. We've cross pollinated, we've helped each other out.
Yeah, just helping with that local network because sometimes it's not like you said, who makes a difference, not necessarily what you know.
Absolutely. So that also helped validate my process as well. And, help me understand that even though times were a bit difficult because of lockdowns and the things that were taking place around me, that I was headed on a path somewhere. Okay. So I didn't focus too far down the road. I just
Yeah.
each step, okay, are things still moving in the right direction? So the validation started to come with each completion of project and new opportunities that were coming. And not only new opportunities, it was, you know, I'd executed well in, let's say, a concrete project. All right. Well, that client would say, hey, Amir, that went well, man. Listen, I got a masonry project. Do you know anybody that can do this? Yeah, I do. Hey, buddy, do you know a guy that can do windows? Yeah, got a great guy. So it started to build that way. So the
Okay.
validation just started to just
That word of
do
mouth
it.
marketing kicked in
Yeah.
from referrals and just your personal service just was contagious. And now others
Yes.
wanted to say, wow, Amir, you did this. Can you also do this? And just having that network at your disposal that you worked to develop for years at this point, it wasn't a question.
No, it wasn't. And so that was the greatest form of flattery was to be introduced to someone by a client that felt taken care of and said, okay, you got to meet this guy. I know he could use you as well. And then my network just built that way. It wasn't through, posting ads or anything like that. It was all word of mouth. People would open doors for me based on how we were responding and delivering.
Oh no, that's amazing. Because in a world where people are so fixated on, digital, where, it has its place and anybody can do whatever they desire
Yeah.
with whatever budget they have, there's still no excuse not to have that personal connection and utilize that just for the betterment of the business, but more so the clients that the business services.
100%. And this line of work, you're not getting $1 million or $2 million or $3 million project because you post it on Facebook or on, anywhere on social media.
LinkedIn, yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. It comes because someone introduced you somewhere and you are trusted. That's the only way you get these types of opportunities. So it is strictly network driven, relationship driven.
I can respect that. Now, would you say the first three projects you got were the first three steps that moved your business forward from that idea to this is concrete? Or was there anything more, as in, hey, I was talking to Tim, I did a Mason project for him. Afterwards, I met somebody else that was a key role that just helped me stay the course per se.
So there was one particular firm that was feeding me regularly in the beginning. So when I
Awesome.
started to think about, how do I spread myself? How do I grow myself? Rather than throwing myself in a bunch of different directions, I honed in on the one client and I serviced them. Just made sure, just grind it out, make sure that everything that I'm providing them is delivering, and not focus so much right now on growing financially.
Mhm.
Just make sure I was taking care of them. From them, other doors started to open, and then my network started to expand. Then I, through contractors, started to be introduced as well to bigger networks as well. So a specific contractor couldn't tackle a certain scope. They came to me and said, "Hey, I've got this project. I'm responsible for ABC. I can only do AB. Do you know a guy that does C?" "Yep, got this guy. I'll plug him into you." And there we go. And then just from there, it just turned into building this core of guys that were all filling the trough with opportunities to help each other out.
Love it. Love that just spiderweb network. And
That's it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, the guys that I work with are fantastic human beings. Okay. Again, construction is not easy to be overly passionate about. It's very difficult. It's very stressful. What I love most about what I do is the people I deal with. We've got, we're all friends. We're buddies. We hang out. Our kids play together.
yeah.
We do events together. And so, when the projects are moving and the stress comes from the projects, the stress is easily managed because you have this great relationship with people, and they're like us, man. I picked these guys for the reason of what I saw in them. They're character guys. They have family values. Okay, they want to be at home with their wife, their children. So that to me symbolized like a character thing. There's something deep
Mhm.
inside them that aligns with something more than just making money. The older guys that built this industry, the captains of construction, the titans, the old guys, I can tell you the big difference is, these guys are weathered. They were, heavy drinkers, 3 times divorced, no
Mhm.
relationship with their children. They were wolves in this industry, kill or be killed, every man for himself. And all of us that grew up under these guys in these companies recognize that I don't want that. No amount of money in the world is going to make me want to turn into that. So
Mhm.
we've all approached it very differently. And it's all about sharing, collaborating, opening up doors for each other rather than being at each other's throats to try to take it all. You can't have it all. There's so much work out there. You can't have it all. So just share, play together, work together, feed each other, and have some fun doing it.
I really like that call out because that's just, when you see a type of work culture that's just passed down and you say, you know what, I don't believe in that. I don't have to be this, black sheep that, oh, you'll understand when you understand. And no, more people are, yeah, well, why? There's no reason, there's no longevity. You see those same people where they are, they're not, in the best point with their health, let alone with those key relationships. And it's what was it all for the monetary value, I guess, but that's all you have. And I mean, when you die, you're not going to be able to take it with you. So was it
Well,
really worth
exactly.
it?
So what's your legacy going to be? What are
Yeah,
you leaving
exactly.
behind? What do you want people to say about you? I've been in many conversations in this business where you hear people talk about the tyrants, the guys that just, they can't stand, negative things about these people. And you think, well, I'm not going to be that guy. There's no way. I don't want my name brought up that way. Um, you know, I say this, success is good news, bad news. Good news is you made it. Great. Bad news is you got to maintain it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and, and maintaining it becomes that much more difficult if you built it on lies, if you built it burying people, kicked people on your way up, stepped on throats, and all of these things to get to your success. Good luck maintaining that. You won't be able to. That's where the
Right.
stress comes. You know that's where the you know I've seen guys like abuse alcohol, all these things. All right. So good news, bad news. You made it. Bad news, you got to maintain it. But if you built it in a way with character, integrity, relationship driven, relationship focused. You're not looking over your shoulder.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
you just know you're operating with integrity and honesty and you're true to yourself, even if you don't know, because that's one thing. There's nothing wrong with not knowing, but when you pretend to know it all and then others are impacted by it, now we're lying and at someone else's cost, whether they hire you or bring you on, it's for what? What was the point of that?
What was the point of it? Exactly. So, there's a big element of humility in there, along the way is recognize that. I don't know it all. I don't have all the answers. Like everybody else, I'm trying to figure out life too. And it
No,
doesn't matter.
yeah.
It
I
doesn't
think,
matter the levels of success you get to, how much money you make, whatever it is you're surrounded by, you're still learning. You're still trying to figure it out. You're still trying to understand the big question. Why am I here? That's,
yeah, that's the
yeah,
little things. I think one thing I have to point out is, without saying so, you have taken the initial or traditional business model and transformed it into something completely different, where you actually have a, positive work culture with clients and even those contractors that you're working with. It's not oh, I've got someone who's a 1099, I'm going to work them as a W-2 and then treat them as their disposable, which is seen in many industries, but especially in the construction one, where, oh, there's only one specific person who's doing sandblasting. And if you don't have a good relationship, I'm just going to throw them to the pits instead of trying to build a connection with them.
no, I can't do that. At the end of the day, you got to look yourself in the mirror. All right. That's big for me. I've often said, if I can't make it in this business being my true self, and approaching it in the sense of like I care for people,
Mhm.
I'm out. I will find something different to do. I will never be the kind of individual who becomes cutthroat. Listen, it's being this way. I've had people, hurt me, impact me, cheat me. That's okay. I turn the page. I don't get resentful. I don't get barbaric in the sense that I got to retaliate, do something to hurt them. I don't care. I
Right.
turn the page and I move on. It's basically shaking the dead leaves of the tree to make way for the new leaves to grow.
Oh, yeah.
That's that
How you
eventually
sow the land and reaping what you sowed.
absolutely. So
And
it will always,
that's
always,
it.
always be uh, people driven. You know, I think about, they're all like me. They all have kids that they worry about and want to put food on the table for and figure out life for and leave something behind for. So, we talk about, don't mess with people's means. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. Don't be someone that impacts how a father puts food on his table. Be better than
Right.
that. And that is the nature of the people that I work with, the people we've surrounded ourselves with. They're good men, really good men. The clients we work with, good people too. They get it. So, I might be making it sound like everything's harmonious and everyone,
Oh no, you're just keeping it honest. I know, like, it's never as simple as, oh yeah, everyone's great, but when you work towards that, that's the vision and you keep that in the, background, then when there's just difficulties, you're not fixated on, well, I've gotten screwed over X amount of times. It's okay, what's the bigger picture
yeah,
and taking a step back.
yeah. How do we resolve this? Like, how do we find a common ground here so that everyone walks away intact? So it's extremely, these relationships are extremely important. It doesn't work without these relationships. What
Right.
we say is, we're bringing back the art of the handshake.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't
Oh
I
yeah.
don't I don't need a contract. I shook your hand, I looked you in the eye, you gave me your word. Let's move forward.
That's a great thing to just bring back. I'm all for it, especially
Yes.
previously working in the insurance field where I like handwritten thank you cards and sending them to people so that it's more personal and it's not just, oh, this person wearing a suit just trying to sell you something you don't want, but they actually care and want to leave a positive impression regardless of what you might think the company is. So I'm
That's right.
I'm big on those personal touches. Now, I definitely have to ask, what would be, for anybody new starting out, one mistake that you'd like to share just in that initial year, that, hey, this is what happened to me and I just want you to know for the better, because people rush into you've already dropped so many gems of advice, from not rushing to scale and actually focusing on your craft, how you interact with clients, you having a more service based business model, and just to say, all right, I need to make sure at least with one person, I can 100% service them, make sure they're taken care of for that customer experience before I say, let me get 5, 10, 15 people, and it's just chaos.
Yeah. So don't focus on trying to build 100 clients, because you can't service 100 clients with attention, care, personal touch. All right. In my line of business, really, 5 to 10. You find 5 to 10 big swingers, like big people that own lots of projects, and you service them to no end, you'll eat better than you would servicing 100 clients. So when you're starting out, that's what you want to do. You want to find your handful of people that are
Right.
your revolving door of business. Just keep servicing them, keep taking care of them. And then through them, you'll start to build a bigger network. You'll get them to start introducing you to other people, right? So, in this business, like, you get to certain thresholds. Okay. So, when you're dealing with projects that are upwards of $5 million, there's a cluster of people that work in that number. There's a
Mhm.
cluster of people that work in the 10 million range. There's a cluster of people that work in the $20 million range. Okay. As big as construction is, it's actually a very small industry. Okay.
Really?
So it's very small. Everybody through some way, somehow knows each other. So always remember that the world isn't as big as you think it is. All right. Your name will travel fast. So, be very, very mindful of how you treat people when you're getting started out, because you're going to heavily depend on someone mentioning your name in a good light in a circle somewhere that will help open a door for you.
Yeah, that's amazing and so true. I can't attest to that, especially just in the years we've been doing the consulting business, just people knowing each other, and we've been astounded by like, wow, you know them?
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep. The world is not as big
Now,
as you think it is.
what as of right now, is it just you running everything, or do you have a team that you founded that is just supporting all your activities alongside you?
It's just me.
Oh
I,
man,
I,
that's
I,
even more.
yeah, I run solo, but it works very well because I deal with the owners of companies
Yeah.
who run very well-oiled machines themselves. Right. So there's an issue that pops up. Client calls me, "Hey, Amir, we've hit a roadblock. You know, here's the issue. Okay, leave it with me. I'll take care of it." And I'll call the contractor. We'll go through the problem. We'll do some troubleshooting and then figure out a solution. And then I come back to the client. "Hey, we've worked it out. We figured it out. Here's the approach. What do you think?" "Ah, great. Love it. Let's do it." So yes, it is just me now. My fiance does all my accounting. Okay, she's if I had to tell you which area of my business I'm weakest in, it's my
Oh,
accounting.
my wife's the numbers. I married smarter just so that I would ensure someone could cover
Yeah.
my.
So yeah, she takes care of all that for me. But yeah, I'm pretty much. I don't like to say I run solo, because the people you work with are essentially your team members.
Right.
So although they're not under my company name, they are my team.
Nice. That's again, just a different approach to that work culture and just leadership structuring, because it's very true. It's those team members, whether they're just on documented paper or they're, hey, I'm reaching out because this person needs your services, they're still looking out for your betterment. And in turn, it gets revenue in your pocket. So why not cultivate that relationship?
That's right. Absolutely. And no one does it alone. You hear
No.
this thing, I'm self-made, and that's a lie. Everyone somewhere, somehow got the help of somebody. So don't forget that when you finally break through the ceiling and you make your way, you have a duty to turn and help someone else.
No, I really appreciate that tip of advice for
Yeah.
not just myself, but the viewers that will tune into this. I gotta ask, just I think I know the answer with just your mentality of life and business, but how do you handle just disagreements when you are starting out and just whether it's with a client or even with someone you're networking with? Because I'm familiar with how when the client sees, an unfinished project because we had a water main break and, we have to resolve that. And there's the initial reaction of, my ceilings are raining. How can we
Yeah.
fix this?
So I approach things with this rule: kill them with kindness.
Okay.
If someone's losing their mind, it's like an engine revving. The fuel's going to run out eventually. All right.
Yeah.
So don't get engaged in trying to match energy for energy, and you just start elevating higher and higher and yelling and screaming. It's not my style. If it happens where someone's really upset, I let them vent. I let the fuel run out, and then when they drop, I'm right there to say, "Hey, I got you. We're going to figure this out. We'll get through it. I'm not going to leave you stranded." Big thing is I treat people with nothing but respect, and I expect that in return.
Right.
So there's been some circumstances where you're faced with a meeting and someone starts going at you. One of the things I'll say is, stop right there. I'm not here to get talked down to. I'm not here to have your finger, wagged in my face.
Yeah.
I'm here to resolve a problem. I will help you work with it. But if you're just going to talk at me and yell at me, I'm just going to walk away until you're ready to have a real conversation about the issue. So I won't let anybody disrespect me. I won't let anybody kick and punch me. There's always an answer to every problem.
Yeah.
We just let's let cooler heads prevail.
No, that it's very similar to when you're, handling interactions with your daughters. Like,
That's it.
can't match those energies. You have to understand there was an initial reason we're here. It's not just to like
Yeah.
go into a shouting match. And as
Yeah.
owners, we have to always take the higher road because at the end of the day, if a third party were to look in and two people are arguing, they don't know who's right. They don't know what started it. That's the last impression they have of us. And that's not even, you at your best. Why even put ourselves in that situation?
Yeah. Look, it's life is all about perspective. Perspective stems from life experience. Life experience is different for everybody.
Right.
Okay. So to come into a situation with just the idea of I'm right, you're wrong is going to get you nowhere fast. All right. So be open to hearing someone's perspective in a circumstance that didn't go the way you both hoped. All right. And then look at it and say, okay, what did I contribute to this?
Yeah.
It's not just one person. What did I contribute to this? What could I have done better? And then you address it. If you can approach these circumstances this way, you're just going to build deeper, deeper ties to the relationship.
That's so true. Because just the cause and effect, I think going more towards life, but also in business, if we're able to objectively reflect on, did I do everything that I possibly could at that point in time to be prepared, or just with what resources I had? Yes, no. And then can I do better after now that I know that answer? If we did that more enough, things would be a lot more simplistic.
It would be, less headache that way. Listen, is it going to be win with everybody? No. Some people are just wired in a way where they don't listen, they don't hear you, they don't absorb you.
Mhm.
And that's where you have to determine for yourself as an entrepreneur, do you want to keep doing business with someone like this? You're going to have to come to a point with everybody you deal with and say, does this person fit in what I'm trying to achieve here? And
Yes,
only
the
you can
right
answer that.
ones.
Yeah, only you can answer that. I've let people go because we don't align. That's it. No harm, no foul, no fault. We just don't align. Time to part ways.
I think that's a great thing to share to especially new business owners where is that pit in your stomach to say I have to get revenue as soon as possible, which it's true the business relies on that, but that doesn't mean you have to do jobs that don't align with your core values, the mission of the operation, or just you have no synergy with. And there's definitely a massive debate in the business world over that where no, I have to service my clients whatever they need. If I'm not going to do it, someone else will. And that dog eat dog mentality.
Nope. Do not be a slave to the people that you work with. And I know that's easier said than done, especially when you're starting out and you really need the work and you really need the money. Um, just as best as you can, try not to be a slave to the people that you're servicing, because
Yeah.
it's stressful. It's going to leave you feeling pretty low about what you do, and you know, it you'll start to question a lot of what you're doing.
Well, you're
Okay,
in the
so
business of building relationships too, not just, transactional one and done. And many forget that even if I am building a corner store, it doesn't have to be treated as a transactional one. Like those mom and pop stores I grew up going to that, oh, we knew their family and like they were just quality people. And you can still have that with any business model.
you can. So that's something I use. I don't want to deal with someone who's just come to me for one project, one thing. Like, it's hard to establish a relationship. It's hard to establish, how things are done. I want the 20-year relationship. I want to do business with you for the next 20 years so that we are like the comfortable glove that just fits. It
Yeah.
just slides right on because you understand each other, you know the expectations between each other. So these are the relationships I go after. Someone comes to me for just a one-time thing, I typically turn it away, because if it's a one-time deal, then that's where it's strictly transaction. That's it. They want the most for the least. I want you to do all of this, but I don't want to pay all that. I want to pay this much.
Yeah,
Okay.
the custom approach without even any
Yeah.
negotiation as to why, like, hey, I'm
Yeah.
going through some hard times. So can we look at this 6 months later and at least have that honesty with you of why, and not
Yeah.
just say, no, it's just the price. I want the quality, but not for the
Yeah.
price.
And it's funny in this industry, it's we call it a race to the bottom. Okay, looking for the lowest bidder, the lowest bidder. And the
Ugh,
irony is you're asking for the lowest bidder to protect your valuable asset. It's pure irony, right? So I, I say to everybody new that I meet, we're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive. We fall in the middle. Guys got to eat. They got to put food on the table. It can't be
of
just
course.
about
Yeah.
getting, bottom dollar, so that you walk away out of the deal while the other guy, goes home hungry. Can't do that. Not interested. Find someone else. And guess what? Not more often than not, every time, because they want the lowest bidder, it doesn't mean their expectations are lowered.
Mhm.
Okay. They always still expect the top service, right? No one ever goes, I get it. I squeezed them really low, so it's okay.
Right.
No, never the case. The beatings don't stop. First, they beat you down on the number, and then over the course of the project, you take more beatings. So I have to protect the contractors just the same as I have to protect the client. So client wants value for their money, contractors want to be paid for their value.
Nice. How do you define success with your business? Now I got to ask, because I know it's not just, oh, meeting this KPI of a
No,
financial figure. It's my
it's
mind's
not.
racing.
Yeah, it's not the money. Money does not measure success in this business, because you can make a ton of money, but never getting the same client because you keep stepping on people on
Right.
all your whole way up. So again, remember, good news, bad news, success, bad news, maintaining the success. So the success to me is the relationships that continue to come back to you. All right. The client that you not only do business with, but invites you into his home to sit at his table with his family.
Yeah.
Okay. That to me is success. That matters. That same client picks up the phone and calls someone else that could feed you work and says, hey, you got to meet Amir. Great guy. Go have lunch with him. Hear what he's got to say. That to me is success. Okay. So that's how I measure it, is how intact are my relationships at the closing of every project. That's success to me.
And is there any milestone you're working towards actively right now? I know we're in Q4 for the year, or you just, I'm in a nice flow and, I'm just continuing to work with people and expand that impact you have, that positive impact at that you have.
Of course. I mean, you always want to have an idea of where this is all going. What's it all for? Why are you doing this? I can bring a paycheck home doing anything anywhere. So it's got to
Mhm.
be more than just the paycheck that I bring. I mean, as like any father, you want financial security and stability. You want to be able to pass something on. So, for me, You know, the milestones I'm looking for are, how am I going to transition from what I'm doing in doing the work to getting to a place where now you're funding and financing your own construction projects, right?
Right.
So getting into property acquisition, developments of your own type of projects. That's where I'm headed. And with the group that we do the work with, we're all looking to do the same, you know, work together to achieve that same goal. You know, 50
Yeah,
years ago,
diversify your revenue streams so that not just from the business, but from the parent perspective. Like my brother and I, we talk about that often where it takes, and he yet to have kids, but it takes a single generation, like the parents to, take a sacrifice in terms of, hey, we're gonna pay this house off within a right time so that it's in the kid's name when they're of age to rent it out so that they have better financial opportunities. Let's set up a 529 through the business so that they have a tax-free option, and just going down the list so that we're looking at all ways to make the next generation better, educate them so that they know what we went through, how they can do it quicker, and they're not playing these games when, we're growing up saying, oh, I don't know what to do. I have no one to lean on to figure it out. And yeah, you can definitely find people, resources, and got to go out in the world and experience it, but save you the time.
yeah. So that's the idea. The idea is I want to leave something behind for my daughter. I want to make sure that my daughter's secure. Now, I also want to show her hard work ethic,
Oh yeah, running with the
getting out
bulls.
there,
Got
running
to.
with the bulls, and taking your shots at life. There is going to come a day where she's going to sit in front of me and say, Daddy, this is what I want to do with my life. This is my
Yeah.
dream. And I'm going to be able to look at her and say, you know what, honey? Daddy lived his dream. We have the same blood coursing through us. You can live yours.
Yeah. I
I
don't know if
want to
I'm
be.
ready to hear her say that yet. I got to
No.
still enjoy.
Oh, no, no, no.
Oh,
Absolutely not. But that's the idea, is set the example. I want to be the example that shows her that, yes, you can take your shot in life. And if you really dedicate yourself to it, you can make it happen.
so for the viewers, what's one main misconception that you might have heard about startup life as an entrepreneur that you just don't understand where it came from and you got to just set the record straight?
That you have to have a perfect plan and execute it. That you have to know exactly what it's going to look like at every step, and that you have to be 100% ready to get into it. That is a fallacy. Okay. You just start and you put one foot in front of the other, and things are
Yeah.
going to unfold. Okay. I had, good friend of mine out in New York City said to me, he goes, how'd you do it? Like, how did you know what to do? I said, I didn't. I had no idea where this was going to go. I had no idea. All I knew was I had some immediate people I could start with, and then it was just going to unfold from there. So more often than not, when you start a business, it never ends up where you started. It takes shape and unfolds in many different ways, and you can't have tunnel vision. You got to be open. You got to listen, pay attention, absorb the things that people tell you and talk to you about. And you will find a flow, a path through it all. Don't, I had to learn this. This was a big thing for me. Um, I was a bit of a control freak. Okay. So trying to force things in directions because I wanted it. I want this. I want this.
Right.
And I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening. I like to say, I believe in God. I believe in the universe. I believe that there are signs and messages and things that surround us. If you
Yeah.
pay attention, there are things that guide you. When I stopped pushing and sat back and started to listen, things really evolved for me. So, if I could give anybody any advice, there's no perfect moment to dive into anything. The perfect moment is now. Just go, just get started, just get moving. All of those what ifs you have swirling around in your head. What if it doesn't work? What if this? What if that? There's the flip side. What if it works? What if it does?
Yeah.
All right. So focus on that. If you have something in your heart, if there's something gnawing it, it's there for a reason. It is not there to torment you. It is there to guide you. That's your guidance. That's your light. Follow your light. There's a saying Denzel Washington said. It's one of my favorite things. True desire from the heart is God's proof to you that it's yours already. You have it, it's yours. All right. Everything around us is made up of energy. Okay. Energy cannot be created and it cannot be killed, which means the things that you desire already exist. You just have to align with it. And
It's a
that,
great piece of advice just to drop for viewers that, anything is possible. And you're a living testament that no matter where you are, to make that shift for, your future, your betterment, or, the next generation, that it is possible. There is
it
no,
is.
at the worst time during 2019 into 2020 to still, yeah, we've made a thriving business. There are good days, bad days, of course, but we stayed the course.
Absolutely. And if you look through some of the darkest economical periods of life, was where the most wealth was created.
Oh yeah, there's
Okay.
still opportunities.
There's still opportunity. You just have to seek it and find it. Focus on the problem, you'll be surrounded by problems. Focus on solution, you will find solution. Now, please don't get me wrong. I'm not coming from a position of where I have all the answers and I've got it all figured out. And I'm sitting here on top of a mountain looking down at everyone going, Amir's plugged in and you're not. That's not it. I'm still learning. I'm still working on stuff. Getting rid of the control stuff was a huge step for me to move forward in. And so, another good piece of advice I could give to people is if you work on yourself internally, instead of always working out in the world to try and build a world, if you go inward, fix your stuff, go
Mhm.
inward and fix you, everything outside will start to align for you. You're really going to start to find your true path in life. And that's what I did. I really learned stop pushing, stop fighting, stop going after stuff really hard. Let's go inward. Let's figure out inward. What makes me tick? Who am I? What are the things inside me that create my own roadblocks and my own hurdles? Because we all have it. Subconsciously, all of us trip ourselves up in one way, shape, or form. And to understand that, what it is and why, will help you grow even further.
Right. No, that's again spot on. You're not saying anything that isn't true, or I can relate to going through just starting a business, managing all things and emotions that, oh, whether it's with the family, your own mental limitations that you're just, oh, I got to do this way, because you're told so from society instead of what makes sense for you or for where you're at right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But I've
The
got to
best
ask for my
investment.
final takeaway. How can our listeners stay updated on you and your business journey? I know you're more of a word of mouth and referral of
Yeah.
people that have gotten you to that level, but is there any platforms that you're on that if someone is just curious to continue to get this well of advice and inspiration, they can find you?
Yeah. So on Instagram right now, I'm at my healing journey. And
Awesome.
so what you're going to see in over the next several months is I'm really going to start building that out. It is going to be heavily focused on my journey from a child that lived in a very traumatic childhood. So very abused and horrible circumstances
Mhm.
to becoming someone who walks in light in life, that has found a path to success. The person that's broken every statistic in life that said I would be the same as my father, all of these things, all these negative things, and I'm not and never was. So I'm going to be building this out more. I'm going
Awesome.
to be putting a book together that talks about this whole journey of life and basically telling my story through Instagram and seeing where it goes.
I think you'll definitely strike a chord right now, just where society is, and being more open to talking about trauma, and not even in a trauma dump scenario, but through literature, through a book that says, hey, this doesn't have to hold you back. This is the facts, what happened, how it impacted me, what I did to address it. Maybe I'm still addressing these things because it's not a streamlined approach, and more people will just come to terms with their own issues that they just need to address. Like nobody's perfect and everyone's got their own, demons they're fighting, and that's okay. That's what
Yeah,
makes us human.
that is what makes us human. But I can promise you that when you finally start to work on them, you'll start to figure out your true path and purpose in life. I believe wholeheartedly after working through and healing much of myself. And listen, I still have a lot more to do, and that's going to be a lifelong journey for me. But I truly believe that a lot of the pain and suffering I went through was so that I can turn around and help others that suffered the same and show them that, hey, I found my way out. Sure, it came with some bumps and bruises and got my butt kicked a time or two, but I found
Right.
my way out, and you can too. So I hope to be a light that inspires. That's what I want most out of life, if you ask me at the end of it. Did I inspire? Did I leave a legacy behind that helped someone else or others find their true path in life?